This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we're looking back at a perfect week for our squash teams. The swimming and diving programs both won the Maine State Championship, and men's basketball picked up a win over Husson. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The women's and men's swimming and diving teams competed at the Maine State meet in Brunswick over the weekend against Bowdoin, Colby, and the University of Maine. Just like last year, both the women and the men defeated all three schools to win the Maine State Championship. The women scored 976.5 points to defeat runner-up University of Maine by more than 100 points. First year Janika Ho led a Bates 1-2-3 sweep in the 200-yard individual medley with a time of just over 2 minutes, 7 seconds. 17-time All-American Sarah DeHare came in second, and All-American Christy Progovis came in third. Ho also won the 100 butterfly in 56.13 seconds and the 100 backstroke in 58.69 seconds for 3 individual state titles. She also placed second in the 200-yard breaststroke. In addition to her individual success, Ho was part of 3 victorious Bates relay teams. And not coincidentally, Janika Ho is our female Bobcat of the week.
I think it was a really fun experience to be with the team, and I thought that this meet was kind of different than the dual meets that we've had in the past, it being like a championship kind of meet, and I thought that was a really fun experience to have, kind of like a first-time college championship meet kind of experience.
And what has college swimming been like compared to high school so far for you?
It's definitely a lot of fun to be with a bigger team. My high school team was relatively small, so I think that it's a lot of fun to have a lot of people with different personalities. And it's hard also. The training is definitely vigorous.
We're in the winter now, and you're from Los Angeles, so how are you adjusting to the snow we're seeing?
It's cold. It's definitely an adjustment from back home, but I like it a lot.
And how did you end up coming up here to Lewiston for school, being from California?
Well, I heard of Bates kind of early in my junior year, and I really liked the school. And then I started the recruiting process with them and just continued to like all the things that I found out about the school. So I decided to come out and be here in Maine.
Did you ever get a chance to visit before you enrolled?
I did visit. I visited twice. Both in the summer, so
Right.
I didn't really get to see this part, but it's nice.
And then in terms of from a swimming perspective, what's your favorite event, perhaps? I know you swim lots of different events, all the swimmers do.
Yeah, I'd probably say my personal favorites are the 200 individual medley or the 100 backstroke or butterfly.
And why is that?
I really like the 2IM because it's like a fun event to swim. You get to switch a lot between the strokes, and I like all of them, so it's fun for me to be able to do that.
And what's it like for you personally to have so much success early? Because I think you set like a Trinity pool record at one of the previous meets, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I would say college swimming is a lot of fun, so I'm trying to enjoy it.
Were you expecting to be, winning so much right off the bat like this?
No, this has been a surprise.
What is Coach Casares like as a coach in terms of, helping you improve even further?
He's definitely really supportive of, like, being both a student and an athlete, which I really was something that I was looking for in college. But he's definitely a tough coach when it comes down to training. Like, he makes sure that you don't skip things or whatever. So, yeah, I think he's doing a good job.
And I know the men's and women's swimming team, obviously you all practice together and everything. You go to the dual meets. And what's that dynamic like to have? It's not only the women's swimming team, which is a big roster. It's also a gigantic roster for the men's team as well. So just so many athletes, all together, basically.
Yeah, I definitely think that it makes it more fun to have both the men's team and the women's team train together and compete together. we all cheer for each other, and so I think it's a lot of fun to be able to have really good friends on both sides.
Have you been able to learn everyone's name yet?
Yes.
And then I know there's a training trip coming up. What have you heard about that, and what are you looking forward to going to Florida?
Well, I'm looking forward to being in warm weather again, but I've heard that it's really difficult intensity of training-wise, but I think it'll be fun to just go to Florida and have some time away from school where you can just swim and focus on training and getting better.
Speaking of getting better, the men's swimming and diving team won the Maine State Championship in convincing fashion, scoring 1,030 points, over 200 points more than runner-up Bowdoin. All-American Riley Ewing led the charge for Bates, winning the 50-yard backstroke in 25.53 seconds. Ewing also took first place in both the 100 back and 200 back. He placed third in the 100 fly and the 200 IM. Ewing also helped the Bobcats win the 200 medley relay. For scoring the most points among any individual male swimmer at the Maine State meet, Riley Ewing is our male Bobcat of the week.
It was very exciting. We have a great team this year. Right from the first relay, we knew that we were going to be very good competitors in the meet. I think we went 1 and 3 in the 200 free relay, which is the first event, so that was just exciting, and I think everyone got pumped up after that.
And you've been part of some great relay teams, All-American, honorable mention, your first year. You also swim a lot of individual events. What differences, if any, for you is it from an approach perspective, swimming a relay and swimming when it's just you?
So individual events are great because you get to compete one-on-one with people. There's certain people in the crowd that you know they're going to give you a good race, even people on your own team. I know a good competitor of mine is actually Alex Bedard, and so we'll go 1-2 in the 2 IM usually, so that's a lot of fun. Relays, they're just great because then it's just your team and everyone's excited to win. So I think, and personally, I like relays the most, just like less pressure on you and more fun for like the entire team in general.
And let's take us back to your first year at Bates. You're a junior now, but your first year relay team got honorable mention All-American at Nationals. What do you remember about that experience, being able to go to Nationals as a first year?
As a first year, it's wonderful. I had this kind of ridiculous goal time of going at 49 in the 100 back, and it actually ended up becoming true at Nationals, so that was more than exciting for me. But just being there with the other 2 seniors and freshmen was an incredible experience. I actually ended up learning a lot there, and we had a lot of fun. It was a more relaxed scenario than our big NESCAC meet.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you have the NESCACs before you had the NCAA championships, and NESCACs, there's almost more pressure?
Yeah, definitely more pressure because there's the idea that you could go to Nationals, and so once you do end up getting the qualifying time, it's a lot more pressure taken off, and all you have to do is worry about competing and racing fast then.
And then last year, you went to Nationals again, a little bit different though. It was a bunch of women swimmers, and then you. What was that like?
Lots of girls. It was fun, though. Obviously, the girls' team is a wonderful team and very deep, so I obviously have them to talk to. Obviously, I need some guys to talk to, and luckily we stayed with the Mary Washington team, so I got to meet a couple of their athletes.
And then what was it like to, a different kind of Nationals experience, right? Because you're swimming an event by yourself. There's no relay or anything last year, at least.
Mm-hmm. I guess it was a little bit more pressure in the sense that it was very much focused on myself and just out-competing what I've previously done. Whereas in a relay, you can always just like compete with your friends and have a great time in doing that. And I think it was a little bit tougher because of that, not having the other 3 guys there with me.
Right, and then this year I imagine the goal is to get some relay teams back to Nationals, right?
Yeah, so our team is real deep this year, like I said, and we have some very high aspirations, so sending another relay team to Nationals would be great. That's definitely high on the priority list, and then also just getting more top 3 finishes at NESCACs.
You touched on this earlier, but the competition element within the team is pretty cool, isn't it? Because it seems like you're competing against each other all the time in practice, and even then at the dual meets as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do a lot of racing in meets, and racing in practices. And by racing in practice, you can just really push yourself in a low-stakes scenario. And then when it comes to dual meets, if there's not a strong competitor on the other team, it's always great to have people on your own team that you know can swim fast.
And then the training trip coming up later this month, right? What's that experience typically like?
So training trip is great. We go to Florida. We're actually in Deerfield Beach. It's a lot of hard work. It's doubles. We probably swim around 10,000 yards a day. And it's just a lot on the body, but being able to like relax on the beach and hang out with your friends afterwards is never a bad thing.
Yeah, because that vision of the beach can get you through the hard workout, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we all go in the water, too. You'd think we'd have had enough of the pool water, but no, we hop in the ocean. It's great.
And then coming back from the training trip, you've got some immediate tough competition, right? I know Middlebury's coming up in January.
Yeah, so Middlebury is always a fun meet. They're going to be coming here we'll be going to them this year, and they have a wonderful facility, so that meet's going to be exciting. A lot of fast swimming is going to take place.
Excellent. Well, Riley, congrats again on being our male Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
The men's and women's squash teams both beat Bowdoin on Friday at the Bates Squash Center. The men beat the Polar Bears for the 26th consecutive time, winning 9-0. Meanwhile, the women prevailed 8-1, avenging a regular season loss from last year. Sophomore Katie Bull, who won 3-0 at the number 7 position on Friday, had this to say about the victory.
That was awesome. Last year I lost my individual match to Bowdoin, and to come back and with the win is unbelievable. Everyone played great today, and we were all fired up, ready to go. First home match of the season, so it was really special.
The women's squash team followed up their victory on Friday with 2 more wins on Saturday at Wesleyan University. The Bobcats defeated Wesleyan 6-3 and knocked off William Smith 8-1. Meanwhile, the men's team had no trouble with the Cardinals, defeating Wesleyan 8-1. On Sunday, both squash teams finished their perfect weekends with 8-1 victories over Dickinson College. The Bates women are currently 6-1 and ranked 16th in the nation, while the men are 4-1 and ranked 17th in the country. Senior Spencer Burt, the captain of the men's squash team, joined the Bobcast to look back on the weekend and ahead to January.
Well, it's always fun to beat the kind of Maine school rivals. So to not be the team that loses to Bowdoin is always good. And I think we'll be safe from that this year, even if we have to play them again. So, yeah.
And then taking the road trip down to Wesleyan to take on a couple of schools down there, including Wesleyan. A nice couple of wins there. The road trip, obviously, how'd it go? I mean, it seems like everyone's in a pretty good groove right now. You got to play at number 3, I saw on Sunday. Yeah. What was that like?
Playing at 3 was cool. I haven't been nearly that high before. We have a couple injuries right now, which is okay because we were a little bit better than those 2 squads that we played this weekend. But yeah, it was a good weekend. People are playing well. People are fit. It's good.
Now, you were one of 3 captains last year, but you're the only captain this year. Have you seen your responsibilities increase, or is it pretty similar?
There's a lot of increased responsibility. Yeah, the Quran last year had, I think, the heaviest weight of responsibilities, and those have passed on to me this year. So there's a lot of stuff. During preseason, I would come up with all the practices and run them. And then, I post everything on the group chat, from who's going to room with who to what uniforms we're going to wear to when we're leaving, where we're leaving from, all that, logistical stuff. And then, in the huddle, I generally talk and, just that kind of stuff, like a lot of leadership and then also just kind of like more busy work.
So a little pregame speech I saw, is that what that is?
Yeah, we generally have a little bit of a speech in the huddle, and me or other guys will talk. To just try and get people riled up a little bit before the match starts.
And then you mentioned a couple injuries right now for the team that's dealing with, but the team obviously is a new look team somewhat this year. Yeah. You have a couple first years who are playing fairly high up the ladder. Obviously, with Ahmed Abdalkalak having graduated, Ahmed Hatata moves in the number 1 spot, and it's kind of, last year obviously there was a lot of attention, obviously for good reason with Abdalkalak, and now the team is, the post-Ahmed era, sort of, if you will. How's that going so far?
We definitely lose a really great player in Ahmed. But we gained depth this year. The freshmen came in and were stronger players than we expected, which was really nice. So we also lost Karan, which was a big loss too. But I think we got 3 freshmen that are in the top 6 right now or something, top 7, something like that. So we lost strength at the top, but we evened out throughout the ladder, which is a good thing.
A little about yourself. You're from Oregon, Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Maine. And so what was it like coming out here to Maine initially?
Well, I wanted to play squash in college, which isn't really a thing on the West Coast. So that was one reason. And then I also wanted to go to a liberal arts school. So that kind of put me out on the East Coast. And then it was kind of just a gut choice between some other schools around this area. And I picked Bates, and I've been happy with that decision. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. What are some of the goals you've set for yourself this year and for the team in general?
For me, goals are just stay healthy, do what I can to lead the team, and just enjoy it. And then for the team, we're trying to have like a good team dynamic, and then we're trying to finish top 12. We're somewhere around there if we can, and hopefully we will.
Both the squash and swimming and diving programs resume action in January. Meanwhile, our indoor track and field and skiing teams don't compete until January. So for the rest of December, the focus is Bates basketball. The men's team dropped a road contest to number 2 nationally ranked Babson on Wednesday before bouncing back to beat Husson in Bangor 72-62 on Saturday. Senior co-captain Jerome Darling scored 16 points to lead the Bobcats to victory, and senior Marcus Delpeche tallied another double-double with 13 points and 15 rebounds. After tallying 5 blocks against Babson and 1 block against Husson, Malcolm Delpeche now has 126 career blocks, one shy of tying the Bates record for blocks in a career. The women's team lost at Husson on Saturday, but gets a chance to bounce back right away Tuesday of this week with a road contest against Colby. The women visit St. Joseph's on Thursday and Bowdoin on Saturday. Meanwhile, the men are home this week, hosting Bowdoin at 7 o'clock on Wednesday and Colby at 6 o'clock on Saturday. We'll recap all the hoops action next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Bates, 5 million.